Hi, my name is Sylvie. I am a certified health coach and fitness trainer, and today, as promised, we're going to talk about the fasting mimicking diet and how it compares to water fasting. And so, to do that, we're going to just go through the fasting mimicking diet and what it involves, what are the guidelines. Then, we're going to talk about fasting and its benefits and how long we need to fast to reap the most benefits. And then we are going to talk about a study that was done that compares both water fasting and the fasting mimicking diet and what the results of that study were. So let's get started with the fasting mimicking diet. I talk about the fasting mimicking diet quite often on this channel because the fasting mimicking diet is really what changed my whole life. That's what allowed me to kickstart weight loss and healing my body and ketosis, really, because you may find that experimenting with intermittent fasting is not nearly as effective if you've never been in ketosis. And you may not get as good results if you don't get into that deep healing mode that you can achieve with the fasting mimicking diet. You may know a little bit about my story because I've shared it before, but just to be quick, I had been struggling to lose weight for many years, low self-control, struggling with cravings, never able to stick to any plan, any weight loss plan, and getting really frustrated. I had heard about the fasting mimicking diet a few years back and decided to finally jump in, do it. I created a meal plan, and by the way, there are quite a few meal plans if you want to give it a try on my website, and I'll leave the link to the blog post in the description below, and there you'll find all the meal plans that I've created. And what I noticed after my first modified fast is that my belly fat was gone, which was really weird. I lost a few pounds, they all came back, but the belly fat didn't come back. And it also gave me the confidence to start experimenting with fasting, and that's when I started losing weight. Made a huge difference in the whole process. I mean, I hadn't lost any weight because, as I said, I regained the weight after a few days of eating back to normal. But even so, some people commented that I had lost weight. So it did make a difference. Another aspect of that, I'm sure, was lower inflammation levels. So the way the fasting mimicking diet works is that it's a 5-day fast, and it severely restricts your calorie intake to about 40% the number of calories you would normally consume. And so that comes to around 1,000 calories the first day, and then 800 calories the following days. And then you also have to follow a specific macronutrient ratio that's meant to really provide tons of nutrient-dense foods to your body and tons of healthy fats to help you achieve ketosis. It's not super low carb, but it's about 45% your macronutrient ratio, but since you're eating so few calories, it doesn't amount to tons of carbs either. And another aspect of the fasting mimicking diet is that it's low protein. So to trigger autophagy, having low carb and low protein are very important, as well as the calorie restriction. Now, before we talk a little bit more about the fasting mimicking diet and how it compares to water fasting, I do want to mention autophagy and how long you need to fast to benefit from autophagy. Because autophagy is how your body heals, and that's what fasting does, right? Now, how long do you need to fast to achieve autophagy? One of the triggers of autophagy is when your body enters ketosis. And so your body has to run out of glycogen and start using fatty acids to produce energy. And that's when you are in ketosis. And you need to produce a certain amount of ketones. And to reach that amount, I found that it usually takes me about 18 hours. And that's why in my intermittent fasting program and in many of my videos, I recommend that women fast for at least 20 hours a day, at least a few times a week. But that being said, this is from someone who's been in ketosis before. And apparently it is easier to achieve ketosis once you have been in ketosis. And that's where the fasting mimicking diet comes in. Or at the very least, a keto cycle before you start experimenting with intermittent fasting. That being said, animal studies show evidence of autophagy after 24 hours of fasting, and it starts peaking at around 48 hours of fasting. I created an autophagy timeline. I have it on various of my blog posts. I will include it in this blog post as well. But really, what it shows is that at 12 hours, your body starts producing ketones, but not enough to be officially in ketosis. And then around the 18 hours is when you enter fat burning mode, which is the level of ketosis that I want to achieve through my intermittent fasting program and that I recommend for weight loss. And then at 24 hours, you start seeing significant autophagy and healing. At 48 hours, and that's when your growth hormone level increases, and at 72 hours, that's when your immune cells starts renewing themselves. So as you can see, prolonged fasting is very, very beneficial if you want to experience more healing. The problem with prolonged water fasting is that many of us find it unsurmountable. Most of us struggle with so much toxicity that the symptoms that we experience when we go on a prolonged water fast are terrible. And on top of that, having very little experience in general with fasting makes it that much more difficult. But fortunately, with the fasting mimicking diet, you get just enough food to make it more doable. And not only that, but it turns out that it may actually be more effective when it comes to healing your body than a water fast. Dr. Walter Longo conducted studies on mice with inflammatory bowel disease. And what he found is that after 2 cycles of the FMD, each cycle lasting 4 days and then followed by a normal diet, he found that the mice that were fed following the FMD, as opposed to just a water fast, not fed at all, experienced greater healing. He found that these mice had increased beneficial gut bacteria and also decreased inflammation markers. So there's 2 very important components to your overall health, as you may know. One of them is gut health, and the other one is inflammation levels. Here you go. You got both of these important factors that were improved through following the fasting mimicking diet. And the theory behind that, the reason why do we see better results in mice that were fed following the fasting mimicking diet compared to the mice that just had to undergo a water fast? Well, it's that they had just enough nutrient-dense food to give their body that extra edge over a complete fast. So they still had some of the stresses that is beneficial for your body and that helps trigger autophagy. But the extra nutrients coming from the diet they were fed is what really helped improve healing further. All right, so now if you want to get started with the fasting mimicking diet, well, you have a couple of options. As I mentioned already, you can do it yourself. I created many meal plans for that purpose and I followed them myself. Another option is to buy the Prolong kit. So Dr. Walter Longo, who studied and created the fasting mimicking diet, does not recommend that you do your own DIY fasting mimicking diet. And he sells a kit, it's called the Prolong kit, where you get all the foods you need for the whole 5-day period, and you don't have to make anything, you don't have to worry about counting macros or anything like that. You just buy the kit and you do it. Another option is to look into my 30-day intermittent fasting program. That also comes with another fasting mimicking diet meal plan, a recipe book, also a tracking Excel spreadsheet if you want to create some of your own fasting mimicking diet days, the The Excel spreadsheet will help you track your macros and make sure that you're following the right micronutrient intake. If you are wanting to lose weight as well, like if healing and autophagy is not your only goal and you want to lose weight, I definitely recommend you look into my 30-day intermittent fasting transformation program, because it'll take you from the very beginning, which is the fasting mimicking diet, to all throughout the process of picking the right intermittent fasting method for you, and learning to listen to your body's cues and learning to determine the most efficient method for you and how to change things up whenever you need to, and how to troubleshoot weight loss if you are having any issues. It comes with a bunch of meal plans and PDFs and guides and videos. It really has everything you'll ever need to finally get the success you're looking for if you have been struggling to lose weight. So in summary, no matter what approach you choose, I truly recommend you give the fasting mimicking diet a try. It is such a powerful tool. I truly believe it can make a huge difference in anyone's life. Alright, so that's it for this week, and thank you for watching. See you next time.